G'day guys, welcome to my 2023 Melbourne Cup Preview, getting to the back nine of the spring. Hope you all had a good derby day today. We had a bit of luck, so hope everyone else did, and hopefully we can follow it through to Tuesday Melbourne Cup. So this is my runner-by-runner preview. If you want to have a look at the more abbreviated sort of main chances preview, I'll throw one of them up too. This is going to drag on, so a warning, but I'll try and get through it as quick as I can. We'll get straight into it. First thing I want to look at is the map. I don't expect that there's going to be a hell of a lot of speed on paper here. There's not too many leaders. Virtuous, Magical Lagoon looks the main leader. Serpentie kicks up from the inside, and then it's a bit iffy who's going to push forward from these wide draws. You expect that a lot of horses that want to settle midfield or better are drawn wide, so there could be a bit more pressure than what's anticipated. But it's very tricky to work out who's going to settle where. You've got horses like Lastotchka out wide, Breakup, who we saw settle just behind the speed in the Caulfield Cup, the Japanese horse. Interpretation's a chance of rolling forward. Right You Are is a very good chance of rolling forward. Future History has enough speed to sort of roll forward if they want to. Absurde, the UK horse, certainly does. And then we've got sort of Military Mission, who I expect to settle a little bit closer. Vauban, and it will also settle, up near the speed. So whilst there's not a heap of speed on paper, I expect that they will roll along and then probably just get rolling a little bit earlier in sort of 3 and 4 wide lines than maybe what we've seen in the last couple of years in really fast run races. Getting straight into it, first horse we're going to cover, number 1, Gold Trip. We'll have a look at the Cox Plate run. So very interesting, this horse. He seems to be in better form than what he was in last year, has the same sort of Caulfield Cup, Cox Plate, Melbourne Cup. Last year, he came off really slowly run races in the Caulfield and Caulfield Cup Cox Plate. This year, very fast run races. And I think that's going to set him up even better this year for this race. He came off a peak in the Caulfield Cup, regressed a little bit in the Cox Plate, then ran well in the Melbourne Cup last year. This year, he's sort of gone really well leading up to it, I think. And then he's regressed a little bit in the Caulfield Cup potentially, and then bounced off it and gone even better here in the Cox Plate. So he's the only runner in this race, the only runner to highlight. And this is him back towards the inside here. He certainly hasn't run poorly. As I said, he's run a peak rating this preparation. But I just don't think that he sort of was entitled to have the zip in his legs that he's probably had last year, just because he's coming off those really hard run Caulfield Cup into this race. So this is him coming to the outside here. Militarized Fangirl, Dewey, Alligator Blood. This is a high class weight for age race, so he's right on track to run really well here. I'll certainly highlight his run in the Caulfield Cup when we look at Without a Fight and other runners as well. But he raises a kilo on last year, which is not a big impost considering his form. He's won a Group 1 since then. And certainly, he ran 3rd in the Caulfield Cup and run really well there in another Cox Plate. So he's going to run really well here. His feet seem to be in better order than what they were in last year. Dry track's certainly not his absolute favourite, but as we've seen, while his feet are good, he certainly can adapt to any surface. Can he turn the tables on a horse like Without a Fight? That's probably the main question. And then you've got to add in the Raiders, sort of Vauban and Absurde and others. So I think he's in better condition and going better than he was this time last year. Just maybe whether he's running to a couple of extras and that extra kilo may stop him winning the race, but he's drawn absolutely ideally to get a perfect run midfield. He's got James McDonald. You couldn't tick any more boxes than what this horse is ticking. It's just a matter of whether he's going to be good enough to beat a couple of tough nuts on the day. Alenquer, number 2, comes through this Moonee Valley Cup, which is certainly worth having a look at. In this race, we have got Alenquer, Cleveland, Future History, Vow And Declare, True Marvel, and Sheraz all running in the Melbourne Cup out of this race. So I'll sort of head to about halfway. They do run along in this race, sort of even, solid tempo, run decent overall time. So this is Alenquer back last, True Marvel sitting outside it. Sheraz is in the middle in the nose roll. You've got Vow And Declare out wide, sort of on the back here. And this is Future History, who's wide for most of the way as well. Cleveland's in the middle in the Williams colours, and you can see he's going really well, this horse, Cleveland as well. Alenquer, the race is just a bit of a nightmare for me. You've got horses sort of sat wide in Vow And Declare and Future History making wide runs. You've got Cleveland, who's had a perfect run, comes off the back of them. You've got Sheraz that's on the back of them, and you've got Alenquer and True Marvel out the back last. A horse like So Dazzling really makes it difficult to work out whether this is the right sort of form or not. The whole race is quite difficult to work out. So you've got Athabaskan, who's back on the inside. He was narrowly beaten today trying to qualify for the race. It looked very, very unlucky. And most of these horses look like they've run very well. So it's just hard for me to line up and say that this is the right form or not. And Alenquer sat out the back last, done nothing and sort of worked home. Looked a bit unlucky, but beaten by sort of 5 horses that are going to be racing against it. Then it's got a lot higher class horses to get past as well. I can't really knock him from a big priced horse's perspective. He's $71. But, I think he's probably one that you could throw in for, say, 4th or something like that, potentially, if you want. I'd be very surprised if he ran top 3 in this year's race without a fight. This horse, I believe, is the best of the local chances. He ran in the Cup last year when still under the care of Simon and Ed Crisford. He's changed to Anthony and Sam Friedman. We saw him over the Brisbane Carnival, dominant there in 2 runs from out the back, just highly dominant. And one of those was at Weight for Age, came out and ran very well at Weight for Age first up, and then won the Caulfield Cup. This is the Caulfield Cup. So the lead-up run was probably, not worth watching in the Turnbull, but a really good clean-out run. So it went 18 to 2,400 metres here. This is him back inside Gold Trip. Soulcombe's out the back. Who else have we got in this race? We've got Right You Are, Soulcombe Breakup, and Okita Soushi. So it's back last, Okita Soushi. Breakups here on the outside midfield. You've got Right You Are right up towards the front. And, as we said, without a fight on the inside of Gold Trip back here. So sort of heading to where things heat up. Right You Are is coming into the race nicely here. Breakups had every chance on the outside of it. West Wind Blows is a good pointer, a very talented horse from the UK. Without a fight's on the outside, and Gold Trip's coming up underneath. Okita Soushi back on the inside here. So without a fight's just laying in a touch on the top of Gold Trip here, but eventually gets clear of him and settles down to fight it out with Westland Blows, and they really do run away from the rest. Gold Trip gets squeezed up a little bit, but runs very well. Soulcombe runs on without really threatening, and we'll have a look at Breakup in a minute. Right You Are, not a bad job, but certainly looked to be weakening a touch later. Good effort, sort of hit the front nice and early, and not a bad effort at all. But to me, what I liked about Without a Fight is he's strong through the line. He meets Gold Trip a kilo worse in this race, but even through the line, you see there, he's sort of still running away from them. I've got no issue with this horse at 3,200. I expect it to improve off that performance in the Caulfield Cup, and I think we'll see a new peak rating from him here, a peak effort. As I said, he was well backed into sort of $12 in the Melbourne Cup last year off his form previous, and I think he's at least back to what he was doing in the UK, if not at a better level now. So I think he's the leading chance of the locals. There's the great man Brad Taylor celebrating after the race. Breakup. So he was in that race. I actually want to have a look at a different angle for Breakup. So number 1, we'll go back and have a very quick look. This is we'll just look at the Tenno show because it's probably the most important 3,200 meter race. 3,200 meter race. So he's had a 2,200 meter run after this against Equinox, who would be a very short price favourite in this race if he was a 3,200 meter horse. I'm not sure if he's got that form or not. I probably should know, but Justin Palace is the horse who wins this race, who came out and ran 3rd in the 2,200 meter race. He's a very high class horse who I can guarantee you would be a very short price favourite in this race, Justin Palace. So he gets a nice run here in the Tenno show. So this angle's quite tough. So he's sort of back in this area here. Breakup. He's behind here. Number 12, I think he is. So he's back here in the middle, getting some nice smother up behind. This is, as I said, 3,200 metres. This is the best lead-up you can possibly have from Japan for this race, I believe. Coming through the middle here. So he's at every conceivable hope in the middle here. Silver Sonic gets him late. Deep Bond runs second, and this is Justin Palace racing away, really dominant. as I said, Justin Palace, I think, would be nearly unbeatable in a race like this. So to be only beaten sort of 4 lengths in this race, carrying 58 kilos, drops to 55 kilos here, and we've seen it in the Caulfield Cup. I just want to show the head-on from the Caulfield Cup. So leading into the Caulfield Cup is 118 days between runs, which, is not an easy thing to do. This horse has won over 2,400 metres fresh previously, but only in open grade. More often than not that he sort of comes on with a run or two. So what I found interesting here is that if we get to sort of the 2-minute 40 mark, when stayers are a little bit underdone and they get a check or they lose momentum, they tend to stop quickly. And you can see here, Breakup sort of Westwind blows, and they were going to beat him, but he gets squeezed up quite badly here, squeezed up again by Gold Trip, and lose a bit of momentum and then lose his action a touch. He certainly had a nice run in transit here, but that was a fast run Caulfield Cup, and he was first up 118 days between runs, and it was the stable was pretty vocal that he needed the run, that he was going to improve with the run. So I think he's done a really good job there, Breakup, and despite the gate and that he gets the Japanese rider now, I think they're the two little queries against him that I think may hold him back from being a really strong winning possibility, but I think that he's definitely got the class to run sort of top 3 for sure. And I certainly wouldn't talk out of anyone backing him at around the 20-1 mark. He probably won't go around a loser with me just because I've got such respect for the Japanese, and I think that run was better than it looked. Tetsuya Yoshioka is coming out to ride this horse from gate 18. Sorry, he's not. It's Kohai Matsuyama is the horse. That was the trainer. If he gets a little bit of luck getting across early, I think he'll run a mighty race, and I certainly think he'll improve off what we saw there in the Caulfield Cup. Favourite is the next horse we're going to look at, and that's Vauban. The main race, his last run was the Ballyroan Stakes, but we'll have a quick look at his winning at Ascot here. A couple of things to note that I thought were interesting. Sorry about blowing your ears off. A couple of things I thought to note that were interesting here. This is the shortest price favourite in a handicap of this sort for over 100 years at Royal Ascot. This horse started and he races up towards the lead, eventually leads. So this is Vauban. There's a couple of horses in this race. The second horse is Absurde, and there's another horse called Scriptwriter that's now called More Felons that's also in this race. So that's More Felons back last in the red cap with the white and the green stripes, and this is the stablemate to Vauban in Absurde, who's just in front of him in the run. So Vauban's up in front dictating, and I think all 3 of these horses can figure. So we'll watch this replay with a bit of purpose. So Vauban starts to quicken. You'll see that the other 2 are well back in the field on the inside, sort of held up. So it's interesting to see what they do. But Vauban, he's got acceleration, but he just sort of got gears as well. And I think that's what's important. You can see that he's building through those gears here, and he's doing a great job. Sort of stop it here very briefly. This is the stablemate Absurd getting through, and this is More Felons. Vauban obviously off and gone. Vauban. So this is Absurd getting through just off the fence, and that's More Felons or Scriptwriter, whatever you want to call him now. More Felons is his new name. I thought Absurd did a really good job, sort of got a couple of checks back there in the field, and we'll have a good look at him in a minute. But Vauban was certainly super dominant there. Had another run after this where it was 48 days so between runs, and went from 2,800 metres back to 2,400 metres. It didn't look like they went into gallop here. Sorry, volume's being annoying. So this is Vauban here, sort of sat in a perfect spot again, sort of the 1-1. Valiant King's the horse who chased him, who ran okay in the Caulfield Cup. I don't think he was quite at his best there, and he's not running here. So that's enough of a pointer to say that horse may not have travelled as well as Vauban, who looked to work exceptionally well at Flemington during the week. But you can see sort of doesn't put the big gaps on them. He does it that previous run at Ascot, but again, that they are opening up, and he's certainly sustaining his gallop to the line over 2,400 metres, and we've seen that the extra 800 metres is certainly to this horse's liking. So, he galloped very nicely during the week, as everyone's seen. He definitely ticks all boxes. Ryan Moore, gate 3. He's got that tactical speed to hold a position somewhere right there. Certainly doesn't look, as we said, a vintage fast run race. So he's the horse to beat from the overseas horses. And it's hard to say that he's not the horse to beat in the race, considering he's got a nice time form rating, which is important. Probably still has to come up again to get up to a horse like Without a Fight, which I think is important. And I think Without a Fight's a big price in this race. But ideal lead up. They've targeted this race for sort of 2 years, 18 months since they've got this horse. He was very competitive at a high level over the hurdles, which has been shown to be good enough form for this race and a very nice grounding for this race. He's a few times a winner over 2,800 metres in hurdle races. He won that race at Ascot over 2,800 metres. 3,200 metres is not going to stop him. So he's won over 3,200 3 times over the hurdle. So he's certainly going to stay the distance. And he does look, the testing sort of material. Often we get carried away in these UK raiders when they come to Australia, but I think this horse warrants all the hype that he's been getting so far. Soulcombe's the next horse we'll look at, and there's a couple of things with this horse. Number one's at the start, and that's him. He keeps dwelling at the start. He dwelled at the start 2 lengths to start before that. He dwelled at the start 2 lengths first up. He was slow out against Alligator Blood second up. So, at a certain level, you can overcome these things. In a Melbourne Cup, from an inside draw, this horse could easily get buried way back the inside, and he's going to be set basically an impossible task from there, I believe. So key to this horse is jumping. I don't think there's many jockeys better on the planet than Joe Moreira, who takes the ride here. So, that's a huge positive. That inside draw, if he can somehow manage to jump, is going to help him, but he literally does miss the start every time. So it's going to take a bit of a miracle for this horse to hold a position, I think. His run was good here in the Caulfield Cup, so he's way back here and forced to make a long, sustained run. And this is my issue. You can see that he's spent quite a bit of petrol to get to the back of the horses like Gold Trip and Without a Fight here, who have held their spots naturally. And once he's got there, he's a bit flat. He does keep trying and he does grind, and he certainly doesn't stop coming, which is a good sign, raising up to the 3,200 metres. But it's just all about whether he can hold that position and really, not have to put up some sort of astronomical performance just to catch these horses and then run past them. So, I think he's potentially got the talent, but he's going to have to put together a race unlike he has before. Otherwise, he's up against it here for mine, and I think he's more of a place chance at best. Absurde is a stablemate to Vauban. And this horse is very underrated for mine. So not only did we see it come out and run very well in that Copper Horse handicap behind its stablemate Vauban, it's come out and run in the Ebor since. So apologies for this footage. It's pretty crook. We're going to have to watch an ad here, which is great. It's the first time we've had to watch an ad. So, this is the Ebor handicap. The other horse that's in this race is More Felons or Scriptwriter. And just need a bit of volume so I can remember where these horses are. So very important here is that both of these horses cover astronomical amount of ground in the run. I know over there in the UK it's not as it's more common, but these horses carry a serious amount of ground. So this is Absurde here in the white, all white, and this is a Scriptwriter or More Felons in the red cap with the green. So this form all ties in really well. This was run after they both ran against Vauban. So this is Absurde here, widest, and this is More Felons, Scriptwriter down the outside. So More Felons gets cut out a little bit and sort of forced back to the inside, and Absurde's hit the front after racing up towards the top end of the speed, wide throughout. It looks like getting to that outside fence was the place you wanted to be on the day. So maybe it wasn't as big a disadvantage as it looked. This is More Felons back in the middle here in the red cap. Certainly stays on really well, Absurde, and looks a worthy stablemate travelling companion to Vauban and a good chance in the race in its own right. It draws well. Zach Purton, 73 days between runs, certainly doesn't look that big an issue for this horse. Has won over 4,000 metres over the hurdles off a 337-day break. So this is a natural stayer that should have no troubles running really well here and really profiles well. And when we're talking sort of $26 as opposed to $3.50 tops about the stablemate Vauban, this horse has got a huge each-way chance in this race from a nice draw. And as you said, it's got a lot of really positive attributes that look to put this horse right in this race. Right You Are is a horse we've already looked at. This is the Caulfield Cup again. So, yeah, there's nothing really in its form that says it's going to run a strong 3,200 metres, and that's my biggest issue. The horse has won 10 races, but sort of 8 of them are at 2,000 metres or below. It's won at 2,000, 2,040, 2,100, and won at 2,400 metres. Hasn't had too many chances to do that. It won a Mornington Cup, and this time in its only chance to run at that sort of distance was the Caulfield Cup, which is here. Runs a really positive race. That's it hitting the front and doesn't really get beat a long way. And, we're talking it's beaten home Valiant King, Breakup, and Soulcombe. So it's hard to say this horse has not run really well. Certainly, a fast run race where it was up close to the speed. It's done a really good job. And, its ratings are good. Early in its prep were great, and it's probably regressed a little bit off that, but dropping to 53 kilos here. Certainly can run well, just has to run that distance. Draws really awkwardly in 15, so it's going to need a good ride from John Allen. But, I think it's probably a third or fourth chance, a third or fourth place chance in the race, if things go to plan in the run. Vow And Declare's the next horse we'll look at. He came out of that Moonee Valley lead-up race. Obviously won this race in 2022? Or was it 2000? Might have been the year before. Might have been 2021. It was because it was last year's Gold Trip. So I think this horse is going as well as it ever has in its life. It's just a matter of whether that form's good enough to win this race. And yeah, I think it ran really well behind Alligator Blood 2 starts ago, then ran really well here again behind Cleveland. That's him in the middle, fighting on. Really tough customer. I always doubted him at 3,200 metres, even though he won this race, just because that was a really slow run race. Where he's going to get to win the run here is interesting. From 19, Billy Egan's going to have to pull out an absolute cracking ride. Only 53 kilos, drops 4 kilos off that run there in the Moonee Valley Cup. And yeah, I think he's up against it to win this race. I think this is a much deeper race than the race he won. But again, probably maybe third, fourth, something like that. You could throw him in. Cleveland's form ties in really well with that runner. It ran in this race also. So we can get through a few horses here at the same time. Hard Fit, this horse has run in the Newcastle Cup, then ran in the Metropolitan, then ran well there, ran sixth, ran second in, what was that race at Randwick? I'll just get the name of it right because they change their names all the time. The St. Ledger, before running really well in this Moonee Valley Cup and winning the race. Travelling really well. It's travelling conserving energy really well. 23 gate is a big issue for this horse, trying to find a spot in the run to relax. It's been able to find nice sort of positions its last couple, and that's really helped the horse to race really generously and conserve energy. Whether it gets the chance to do that from 23 and whether its form overall is good enough is the main query. Did run in the Sydney Cup and sort of failed earlier this year, off the back of a decent lead up prior to that over 2,400 metres. Going as well as it has since it's been here, but certainly just needs to find probably a little bit more from a terrible draw, and that's probably the main setback against this horse. But again, maybe can go into sort of fourth, I think, or something like that for your exotics. Ashrun's next. It comes out of the Geelong Cup. There's a few horses in this race that run in this race. Let me get the list. So Ashrun, Magical Lagoon, Virtuous Circle, and More Felons. More Felons, again, we'll have a look at soon, but we've basically covered him after we've looked at this race. So this is his first run for Chris Waller, More Felons. It's in the red cap with the white and green sleeves. You've got Ashrun in the Australian Bloodstock colours just behind the leaders here. Magical Lagoon takes up the running and leads. And then Virtuous Circle had a perfect run back on the inside here in the green and doesn't really do a lot after tracking into the race really nicely. So this is Virtuous Circle. Ashrun to the inside of him. Magical Lagoons in front, and more Felons is right down the outside here. So this race was run at a very fast, even tempo. They ran fast overall time. So good efforts from the horses at the back to close off. Good efforts from those on speed to kick on. Ashrun certainly had its chance. More Felons has closed off nicely. Virtuous Circles, you see, sort of very one pace and very average. And Magical Lagoon was right there after leading and setting a solid tempo until very late and just sort of run down in the last bit, but did stick on. This is Magical Lagoon on the inside. Ashrun, more Felons, and Virtuous Circle was behind. So interesting trying to line this form up. This horse did run in this race last year and ran on very late to only be beaten 4.8 lengths off a fast tempo. So it had 2 runs leading into that last year, ran in the Geelong Cup, and then had the lead up at Flemington over 2,500 metres, backed up 4 days later after winning that race into this race. So that's the Bart Cummings or whatever they call it now, and ran quite well, but was sort of settled way back from 23 gate there. Draws 11 this time. So if it could settle a little bit more sort of midfieldish, you can probably run top 6 again, and that's Ashrun. I just want to make sure I get this horse's name right. I actually half fancied this horse. The next horse we're going to look at is Daiqansweet Jr. I half fancied its chances last year in this race, and it didn't run too bad. And just as sort of as a roughie, it ran 6th, beaten 7.5 lengths. I probably think that's probably its level again here. So this is Military Missions lead-up race. This is the Herbert Power. This is the poorest lead-up race on paper. They go out slow, they come home slow, they run really slow time. The 2 horses that come out of this race are Military Mission and Daiqansweet Jr. Backing on the inside here is Daiqansweet and Military Mission's around it. They both run in this race, so we can look at both of them here. The greys, Military Mission, and that's Daiqansweet Jr. on the back of it. They both get their chance to come to the middle. Military Mission hits the lead quite early in the straight and sort of bunchish margins. They don't do a lot. I don't think this is the right lead-up form, and I'd be very surprised if either of these horses is in the finish, but that's Daiqansweet Jr. You can see through the line, I think out and distance helps this horse. I just don't know if it's got the quality to run into the race this year from an okay draw in 12. Okita Soushi is a horse that is Joseph O'Brien's horse. We looked at it briefly in the Caulfield Cup, so this is it back here. It just goes right back and sort of makes a little bit of ground through this section here and looks like it's going to sort of tack on and do something, and then really doesn't do a lot from this position on. Very one pace late, and as I said, this is Soulcombe, Breakup, Valiant King not running, Right You Are, and the others. And to me, it's sort of weakening late. I think it has to improve too much here from gate 20. A junior rider who doesn't have a lot of experience in races like this, I think it's going to be a bit too much for this horse, and I expect it to run in the second half of the field. Try and get through a few of these horses. We've looked at Sheraz. This is that Moonee Valley race. Sheraz coming to the outside here. It's running a Sydney Cup and run second, sitting up on speed. I think that was in a better form there, and I still think it needs to find a lot better form off that. Its runs this time have been okay, but nothing special, sort of beaten 5, 4, 5, and then 3 lengths here down the outside in the nose roll. Here in the nose roll. As I said, I don't think this is winning form, and I don't think this horse is going well enough to sort of beat the horses that finished in front of it there. Not quite going as well as it was possibly, this time last year. So I think it's up against it, Sheraz, and a definite roughie in this race. This is an interesting horse to look at in Lastotchka. We'll look at its last up. Very one-pace horse for mine. The Mighty Twit is the only way we're going to get a look at this race. So it gets a really nice run in this race. I'm not sure of the class of this, and so I had a good look at the time form rating, and Lastotchka's in the purple here. Look, they go everywhere. It's impossible to work out what the heck's going on here. It gets a perfect trail just behind them. Its best form's on wet tracks, and it's a very one-paced horse. It's only a small horse. We saw it work quite well during the week. It's in the care of Mick Price and Michael Kent now. It certainly stays. That's one thing the horse does. I'm just not sure if it's just too one-paced. This is 3,100 metres at Longchamp. Ran okay at Deauville at the start before that. You can see hits the front here and races away. Looks quite good in doing so, but the quality of this race, you see the margin's not really opening up too much behind. And yeah, she's a really small horse. See how small she is. I'm worried about this horse in a big field, gate 21. Her first start in a race as a 2-year-old was a biggish field, 15 runners. Since then, she's never seen a field bigger than 11. In any sort of staying race, she's never really seen a field size over 10. And most of the fields are sort of 6, 7, 5, 7 runners. So not only is she one pace, and I think she needs soft ground, but I think her size in a big field like this is going to be against her. I think she's going to be up against it if she's going to cop a lot of buffeting potentially. And that's if she can find some sort of economical run from gate 21 off the 65-day break. I'm probably throwing her in for third, fourth if I have to in some out wide trifectas, but I think she's up against it personally to be winning a race of this quality. I think she's a little bit too one-paced. Magical Lagoon we've looked at. Most of its form peaks out at 2,000 metres since it's been here, but it really hasn't. That was its first try at 2,400 metres. It did win an Irish Oaks, I think, when it was under the care of its UK trainer. From everything I've looked at, those races were pretty steady, and it really needs to find even better than what it did when it was at its peak form before it got here. We may not have seen the best of it out here. That was probably its best run, clearly, that we saw the other day at Geelong, and it seems to be sort of progressing in the right manner. It looks like it's a chance of leading this race softly. Could run a cheeky race, but I think, again, it's going to have to produce a Herculean effort to hold them off over 3,200 metres first try at that sort of distance range. So, again, maybe you could throw it in for third, fourth in an out wide trifecta, but I'd be very surprised if I'd be very surprised if it won, and I'd be very surprised if it troubled the first couple. Military Mission we've looked at. That was winning that lead-up race at Caulfield, the Herbert Power. I doubt this horse's quality at 3,200 metres. Its race in Sydney at Randwick 2 starts back when it ran fourth in the Metropolitan was just okay, and then it came out and won a pretty poor lead up here. I think it needs to find another level altogether. Has trialled in between 24 days between runs, does drop the 51 kilos. Rachel King's in pretty decent form, to be honest, and she'll probably give it a good ride from a soft draw here. But I think she just needs to find a whole nother level over the 3,200 metres, and he has to find another level, and I'm happy to sort of bet around him. Stablemate Serpentine comes out of a different form race here. This is the Bart Cummings. So that's not what the lead-up is today anymore. I'm not sure what it's called. So behind the leader here, Serpentine. Future History's in front. And Sheraz, Virtuous, Circle, Ashrun are all in this race. So if we stop this here, this is Serpentine here. Future History in front. Ashrun's in the Australian bloodstock colours, must be right down the outside here. Virtuous Circle's back in with the black nose roll and the green. And Sheraz is there somewhere with its white nose roll. I think it's just outside it. So this is Ashrun down the outside. Not a bad effort. The horse is going okay. He certainly looks like he stays. His form in Brisbane over the Winter Carnival was pretty decent. His form since in Melbourne, this prep was okay. He ran well first up behind Athabascan in Sydney. All that form ties in okay for the sort of second tier form for this race. And again, he's one that wouldn't surprise me if he sort of ran between 10th and 4th. But anything more than that, I think, would be a bit of a surprise for this horse, who is racing well and looks like he'll stay. But, he's up against it. He's got a perfect draw. That's the only other good thing. Virtual Circle we've looked at. Its run at Geelong was just not good enough. Tracked up there. It looked like it was kind of going okay prior to that. Did look like it was running towards a peak. And maybe if you forgive that run completely, this horse is a bit of a left field possible improver, but just does nothing for mine this last couple of 100 metres at Geelong. And it's just very hard to say that this horse is ready for a Melbourne Cup off that run. More Felons we've looked at. It's now in the wallet care, as we've sort of said. Its form ties in really well with Absurde and Vauban, and my only issue is it had Equicast on for its first up run and sort of ran up to them at Geelong and looked the winner. And I would have liked to see, I think, this horse put this race away for it to be a winning chance here. You can see here it looks the winner and sort of knocks up, if anything, just sort of peaks and doesn't want to go past them late and flat on the line. That's the only worry for me here. Has won over 3,200 metres a couple of times in the UK. Just a matter of whether it's got a little bit of a niggling foot issue potentially, and whether that's going to hold it back on firm ground here. But off that run and tying in with its form, you've probably got to put it in for placings, even potentially second, third, fourth. Just probably needs to find another level off that. Gate 24 is going to make it difficult for Jamie Carr. Where's it going to get to win the run? What sort of performance is it going to have to put up to win and beat some pretty talented horses? But yeah, it certainly has pretty good form tying in. Future history we've looked at both its runs at Flemington in the Bart Cummings and then in the Moonee Valley Cup. Did sit wide for the majority of this race here. This is it out wide, made a long wide run. Fitness should not be an issue. Hasn't been tested at anything past 2,500 metres, which is the last two runs. Certainly run well at both of those. Here, this is it in the middle here, sort of fighting on. One of the better local horses, draws quite well in 13. I think that's decent enough. Who rides the horse? That's an interesting question to ask. Holly Doyle comes out from the UK to ride the horse. That's quite interesting. That'll be a test for her. 50 kilos, first time around Flemington in a race of this nature. I think this horse is, again, a horse that's a chance of finishing in sort of between 10th and 4th, 5th, but anything higher than that would surprise me. Interpretation won the Bendigo Cup leading up to this. Before that, he was a little bit disappointing for mine, going okay, but a little bit disappointing. Had a really nice run here. This is him coming to the outside here in Kieran Maher's colours. I think they're Aussie Gears colours, to be honest. You can see there's just not much going on here. Tough horse, but cannot be the right form race for mine, and a deserved big price in this race. Kalapour came out and won today. His form was okay, sort of leading up to this, had form behind Cleveland Land Legend. He's very honest, and they sort of led and gave him this race today. He fought on okay, beat Athabascan. This is, I think it's called Rain something from Sydney. I don't think this is the right form for this race, to be fair. And I think he has to put in some sort of monstrous career best at this distance to winning this race. 14 gate, Zach Lloyd and a lightweight help. Quick backup. You often see horses run well through this race. So I think he can run top half, but top 3 or 4 is going to take a monumental effort. And the last horse we're going to look at is True Marvel, who is currently one of the roughies of the field here. It's sort of 150 to 1. He was in that Moonee Valley Cup race where they were at the back, and he sort of came home with Alenquer. He was dragged right out of the race here. This is him in the pom-pom. On the outside here, the Derby syndication colours. They won the Coolmore today. Well done to them. That's Alenquer and True Marvel. As I said, it looks like a decent run, but it's just a worry that all of them look like decent runs. They don't all tie in, and again, they're all genuine roughies in this race. 10 gate, Benny Thompson to ride. I think it's a genuine roughie. I think, personally, after we've now gone through all these horses, that the main chances in the race, that the clear top 2 for me are without a fight in Vauban. I think the clear 3rd and 4th picks are Absurd and Gold Trip. Main reason I'm against Gold Trip is just because he's quite short in the market. I've got to have Without a Fight at $8 in front of him at $4.80. I think it's going to take a big performance for Gold Trip to turn the tables on Without a Fight. Vauban is definitely the new blood and Absurd stablemate. I think he's underrated. I think he can run well. I think the Japanese horse Breakup can certainly run a place and improve. I'm then probably got Soulcombe, more Felons, and then, as you said, there's quite a few chances for that sort of first 4, 4th to 10th position in Lastotchka, Future History, Serpentine, Ashrun, Cleveland, Vow And Declare. I think they're all going okay and can sort of run that 4th to 10th position. But I think the clear classes without a fight of the locals. Gold Trips, on his hammer. Vauban and Absurde, the two stablemates, have got really nice UK form. And then I could probably change back to this here. And then it's wide open from there. More Felons interesting with its feed issues, and I think Soulcombe's going to have to put in a big performance. She said break up the Japanese horse. So that's my opinion on the race. Hope I've helped you out with looking at a few of the replays, explaining sort of how they all tie in and where they fit in. And good luck if you're playing in the race. It's never easy. And with good weather and the track should be perfect for Tuesday. So hopefully all the horses get around safe and we have a bit of luck. Cheers, guys.